Hello, everyone. So I'm glad you are here. So today we are going to talk about creature animation. Hopefully you're fine. And let's get started. Right, so I will start by sharing the screen with you guys. All right. Don't have too many people today, but hopefully more will join. All right, so what is the plan for today's lecture? First of all, let's talk about the importance of creature animation and why you should actually learn that. Then we'll go for a quick introduction about how to approach creature animation and how it's different to the humanoid animation. And then I will also show you the results of my own works and like how I approach them. All right. So hopefully you will go from like a zero knowledge today to, let's say, a little bit like a beginner knowledge in terms of you will most likely know how to approach that kind of shots and how to animate them by yourself. All right. So why it's important to why it's important to learn this skill. So if you are feeling about, if you know that you want to go for VFX industry, okay, you want to work in movies, then I would highly recommend you to animate the creatures, okay, different kind of creatures. This is actually what you need to focus on, and I think I've made that kind of mistake in my in my career at the beginning, because I had this idea that I would like to work in the VFX industry, and unfortunately, along the way, I got uh, many times declined. I got declined many times because I was lacking that kind of shots in my showreel. All right, so um, also in terms of where the creatures also are useful to show, I think in the gaming industry for gameplay animators. Okay, so I saw recently some of the positions when there is a literally written um, that they would like to see motion capture, right, and creatures as well. So I think for the gaming industry, it's like a less important. I mean, usually it's heavily based on the mockup, but for the VFX industry, for sure. All right. So let's imagine you want to work in MPC, Frame Store, or any other companies like that. Then you need to focus on the creatures. All right, and not saying only about the first thing that comes to your mind probably is like a tigers, right? And animate tigers. Everyone animate tigers actually. So I would recommend you to not only animate one creature, but actually show the different type of creatures. All right. I will tell you how much like studios are really annoying in terms of like a recruitation process. They literally want to see exact creature sometimes. They would prefer, right, that kind of candidate with this kind of creature in their portfolio. So for example, they have like I had this actually situation. One studio had the project with the apes, right? It's not a beta, but something similar. um, so they asked me if I animated before apes, right, or monkeys. Yeah, and I said like no, but what's the difference, right? But oh yeah, but our supervisor really wanted to see that. All right, really wanted to see someone with experience with back back experience with this. All right, so for me, like as an artist, as an animator, it might be like really frustrating because for me, I could animate, let's say, for me animation is like a, like everything. So I literally can animate human, right, and then creature, and then something else. That's completely fine. But for the studio, for the studios, for supervisors, they kind of want to mm, have as the safest choice possible, right? So if you're going to show the variety in your portfolio, that means that they will be you will become the safest choice for them, right? So not only, remember, not only like quadrupeds, but also maybe dinosaur, maybe like some flying creature. Mm, it's actually really like a like, let's say, unpopular to animate flying creature. Okay, I saw many tigers, I saw many like dinosaurs, but not actually like not a lot of flying creatures. So maybe you can do that too. All right, especially like not many people done the like a really deep dive training behind the like flying creatures. All right, so maybe that could be your like a field of like when you can shine, okay, more. All right, so let's talk about the creatures then here and how to animate them. All right, so yes, that's a niche. That's the exact word that I was lacking. um, all right, so if you have some questions, then of course write them in the chat. If not, then we can move forward into Maya. All right, and remember, these kind of concepts that we're gonna talk about right now, you can also apply them to Blender, to Cinema 4D, to any software actually. All right, I would like to focus on the body mechanics more, rather and the idea behind. All right, rather than the like and software functions. Which trick is that? This is a great question. I got prepared for you guys since you are here. I will actually send you the link. I think just a second. I will send you the link for this creature. Right. So just a second. I uploaded already on the WeTransfer, and then I have to do it again, unfortunately. Okay, it should be. Okay, it's suspicious. It's 8 megabytes. Right. I got it. I got it. So here you can download the rig. Okay, this creature. This is a Trapjaw from Evolved game. It's a really old game, and yeah, I was animating this creature for my showreel, for example, recently. So it's pretty cool because it's like a unusual character in comparison to the others. All right, before we move forward, just quick reminder that, guys, if you are interested, if you really treat this career path seriously, then what you can do after this class, all right, you can go to this website. I will send it here, and you can check this out. With Animation Incubator, we can work together, all right? And you can literally work together with me every week. You can send me your stuff. You can access to you will have then access to plenty of video materials like this, all right? And yeah, about the creatures, about the flying creatures actually, and about body mechanics and so on. All right, so check this out, and yeah, let's move on to Maya. All right, so if you're gonna have some questions about the rig, also let me know. Unfortunately, it's not like a like a high definition rig. This is mostly for like a game, and I also have some problems with the skinning here. So if you want, you can fix that. I will fix that for my own purposes for sure. because yeah, it's not cool. So let's get started by turning off the F key spine. Okay, so spine has two options, F key and I key. Is it used for our showreel? I mean the rig? Yes, you can put it into your showreel. That's totally fine. Feel free. All right, so you can just right now we can turn it off, the F key. Maybe this one, I'm not sure. Yes, and right now we are left with I key controls. So as you can see, it's a little bit, yeah, like this control doesn't work properly. I think the entire like skin should be more on the back side. All right. So that would be like a big change that you have to do by yourself. All right, if you are if you want to create like some really cool shot. All right, so let's talk about the spine because we already started. So as you can see, we have the character, and the biggest difference by far in terms of animating humans and creatures is that right now we have like a 4 legs, and how we have to treat it is like two separated hips, right, connected with each other. So we are no longer animating spine by rotation. Like I usually recommend for humans, I usually recommend to rotate the torso by, to move the spine by rotating because this is how our bones works. Okay, this is our skeleton is literally rotating. Okay, every joint. It doesn't happen here. Okay, I mean, so here we are like moving them separately. All right, this hip and the chest are working separately with each other, and the spine is like a connection between. It's like a bridge. All right, so it's a little bit different. So if you're going to have like like a rig, just remember to maybe avoid moving this too much. For example, this controller, you see, because this is the center of gravity, right? So this controller affects both chest and hip at the same time, all right? So it's gonna be hard to adjust them, all right, and get this feeling of separation between those two. So what I would suggest is to mostly animate up and down action with this, all right? No, and with this, all right? So we have like we can separate the entire movement. We can always make them work like in reverse, for example, right? We can stretch them, squeeze them, however we want. With this one, we can do that. For this, I'm mostly gonna use it for the vertical movement, like this, all right? Because then it's gonna be hard. Well, you can do this also, but in my opinion, it's a little bit easier for that. In this case, you will avoid like a stretching or squeezing both of them. All right. So that's the main difference. What else? What else? So people kind of got scared about the creatures. I understand this. I got scared myself at the beginning because it's so confusing, right? You, in comparison to like a humanoid rig, you have all of this shit here. So what I would do probably, you have like even these small controllers for like a skin. So what I would do, what I like to do is I want to simplify the rig at the beginning, literally, like select some useless controllers like this, add it to the layer and hide it, all right? So I can focus on the main things. Right, let's hide it. Let's take a look what we can do like this. What is it? All right, you can see this is skin. Well, this is actually pretty useful, but it's moving a lot. But this is like mostly skin, so I'll just hide it. How is it possible? Okay, so we have a question. How is it possible to transfer Enclo movement to cloth controls in any rig? Don't know. I don't know, so I'm not experienced with Enclo. So what action we are doing here today? Nothing really. I'm just trying to like explain, the general approach to the creatures. Then I will show you my already animated shots in Maya. Okay, because whenever we would start animating something new, it's gonna take like at least 3 hours or 4 hours. So I don't want to kind of waste so much time for you guys. So no, it wasn't. I don't want to kind of waste. No, I don't even know how to make it better. But you get the point. For 4 hours, it's like it would be hard to show anything, fast. So 4 hours, that would be super boring for you guys. Maybe in 2 hours we could do something efficiently, maybe but it would be like an idle or something. So it could be it would be boring. Unfortunately, animation is not like something like a drawing when you can just, for example, quickly sketch something, right, or like fix it, and then it's not so like. The results are we are building the results super slow, so it's not fascinating. Okay, we have the next question. On a biped creature like a T-Rex, for example, the chest and the hips works separately, and quadruped creatures, or is it different? I would approach to the T-Rex animation like a humanoid because his chest, his front paws doesn't touch the ground. Okay, so it's like literally like a bended, like a forward human, I would say. All right. Although what you need to understand, for example, in T-Rex animations, is that it's going to be hard to achieve this like a head movement. It should be a little bit separated from the rest of the body, since it's like a predator. Because for the predators, head should stay leveled. All right, it should be always like looking on the prey. So that's why whenever like tigers are running, or maybe like even eagles are flying, or like snakes are moving, anything like that, or wolves, head will be staying within this horizontal line. All right, and the entire body will be moving, but the head will be like staying. I heard that it comes from the but I'm not sure if it's like from the for the predators. I heard that for chickens and like birds tend to do that because they don't have enough computing power in their brains. So whenever they're moving, all right, they try to keep the head in the previous position to avoid blurriness. All right, because when they are moving, everything is blurry. Their brain can't compute, can just process enough data, and everything kind of is blurry for them. So probably that's why it's happening for the birds, but I'm not sure why it's happening. But I'm pretty sure actually it's not the case for the predators, but something interesting. All right, so okay, we've talked about the main difference, and this is like super important for you guys. This is like after this you will most likely won't have too much troubles if you start if you animate by F key, like this, then it's a nightmare. All right. So always remember about the I key. And if you're going to check, for example, on the chest, you might notice there is a follow parameter here on the 10. Let's check what's the difference here. The follow parameter, or like a word space, it's also something that gonna change the behavior of controller. So I don't see any difference actually. Seems like it doesn't work probably or something, because if you have like a word space, then or follow to 0, it means that the controller has is related more to the space of the word, okay, on the environment, rather than on some certain controller. So literally, if you want to set up your controller to be like to have 100% control on this, all right, then choose the follow to 0, and to or if you have like the word space, like then also turn it on. All right, so hopefully that's clear. And let's go to the other stuff. So right now let's talk about the head. All right, so as I mentioned, for the creatures and for the predators, I tend to sometimes animate the head by Aiki, which means by translating. All right, here we are having this setup. Wait, where is the switch? Where is the switch, guys? Okay, maybe we don't even have it. But some, like most of the rigs, have this option to have the head animation on the by the translation. All right. In this case, we are animating by rotation, like in normal human beings. All right. And keep in mind, I don't really have any problem with that right here, because this creature has so heavy, head. It's pretty short. This head is, the neck and the head is super short, so it doesn't have. We won't have probably like any problems with animating this. We don't want to have any like too much separation between chest and the head, and the only problem that I found right now is that this head doesn't have this like a word space that we just talked about from here. In that case, we would be able to animate these controllers and getting the head in this like nice horizontal line. All right. So right now everything is like the head is moving. So whenever we are moving the head, for example, or the chest, right? And I want to keep the head in the previous position, in the previous line. So for example, she still looks forward. I need to do this, right? Then it's like counter animating, a little bit counterintuitive as well. So I have to then force the rig to look forward, right? So that's kind of a little bit tricky then. Another question is, in this case, how to approach skin movement of the creature with that controls how to see weight of muscle. Yeah, we will show. I will show you this at the end, because let's focus on the uh, biggest controls first, and then we will move to the details. All right, so the head, I would still, I mean, you have to check on the creature. If it has like some shorter head, all right, shorter neck, if it looks more like a humanoid, all right, in terms of the proportion for neck and head, then I would suggest to animate this by the F key, like this. Okay, it's more natural, because it's the head is rotating. But if you have the animation, if you have the rig that looks like the T-Rex, all right, or like a raptor, then probably you want to animate the head separately. Okay, we have a next comment. I like this teacher. Good explanation. Thank you, Stan. Thank you. This is really kind. Okay, so we covered this and this. Let's talk about the shoulders. Right, shoulders and paws are crucial, like the biggest difference. So here, okay, you see we are moving this, and this control, like a scapula, is just a shoulder blade, right, for us. So if you have a humanoid character, it's usually have this control, all right? So it's gonna work like we would do for the humans. It's the only difference is that unusual position. So because we tend to, to have both arms loose, stay loose, all right? And in this case, the character is have the most of the pressure on these front paws. So how they behave is usually whenever you are moving the paw, okay, this would follow. All right. So mostly I wouldn't recommend to translate them too much, but mostly you want to rotate them a little bit and then translate them. Okay, this is my recommendation. So for example, the front paw is moving forward, so I also have to kind of rotate it a little bit and move forward the shoulder blade. Okay, and the opposite when we want to do something like this, right? So just to avoid the popping of this foot, I can first of all rotate it. No, actually, I won't do that, but I can translate it like this and like this. Okay, and right now you have like a correct position. All right, so this is the first concept. Okay, so make sure that shoulder blades are following the action of the paw, and yeah, they're staying always connected. All right, so another one would be when we have foot like this, right, which means that or for example, let's keep it one in the air. What's going to happen right now with the shoulder? Shoulder will catch the majority of the weight. Okay, so it will be catching this weight coming from uh, this foot, right? And it's going from the elbow, and it has to catch the weight here, and it has to translate to the hips, to the chest, pardon. So right now we need to push it, all right? Because like if you try it maybe on your desk, like if you have the hand right and you want to catch the weight with your arm, right, then the shoulder will go up, also the chest will rotate. So for this one we need to move the shoulder upward, and guess what, don't forget about the chest. In this case we need to rotate it like this also, right? Yeah, like as you can see, it's gonna create some problems for us because we don't have this like a word space, right, option. So whenever we are moving the chest, the head is also like involved in that. So it's tricky. Then we have to do it like this, right? And then it's hard to polish actually. So first, I would recommend to move the chest and then the shoulder, right? Because and also, for example, we have the weight shift like this, like that. And remember, like if we are animating creature, it's three-dimensional, so it has to stay in balanced, right? Like this. Ah, okay. Okay, so that would be a pretty cool pose for this one, mm, since we don't have the weight on this foot, on this leg, so it's probably we don't want to have like the you know this going up as much as this one, right? So we can make it 0 everywhere. But still, I think it's gonna pull a little bit the upward. Okay, so this is first thing. Another thing, remember that they will try to go in reverse. Not sure if you've been here 3 weeks ago or something. I was talking about the hips and chest animation for the humans. So for hips and chest, they try to work in reverse because that's how our body tries to stay in balance. Also, on top of that, it's the most of the time this is the way that our body creates the energy, right, through the rotation of the torso. So it's the strongest. It's like the strongest muscles in our body. So it will be the same case for here. So they both of them, okay, chest and the hips will move in reverse to each other, right? So for example, if this chest is rotated horizontally to the right side of the screen, okay, then we should, in order to stay in balance, we need to do the opposite here. And check this out. It was rotated. It was leaning, like the chest was leaning to the right side of the no, on the left front ball. So this one we can do the reverse. That's how you can just do the pose. So, for example, like this. You see? Make sure to also avoid symmetry, okay? Because it's unnatural, like perfect symmetry. All right. So I think we're going to talk about like a three other principles here. So first principle would be about the or animating front, like the back paw. So whenever we are moving them, they should stay in horizontal line to each other, like these bones. Okay, just to okay. So always try to maintain the same line between those two. Okay, like this, because they are actually connected somehow. So they have to work together, and that's the main, like the main idea behind animating back pose. So whenever we are moving, try to animate something like this, right, to make them stay together. All right. Also, if you are animating the creature like this, okay, make sure that, oh, this is actually pretty cool pose right now. Make sure that whenever you are creating a footstep, right, with the paw, then that there is actually some pressure, okay, that the creature have some pressure on the paw here, and that we can actually squeeze it a little bit. You see, like there's like a flesh behind, right? So we can feel the fleshiness. So try to avoid just simply like putting the foot on the ground. Make sure that there is some like a translation down, right, to feel this fleshiness, right? And you can squeeze the like these. No, actually, we don't have controls here, but here, of course, we do. So make sure that we can feel like this, right? Something like that. Right? They're spreading a little bit. So that's gonna help you sell the feeling of the weight of your creature totally. So I would highly recommend to do that. Also, if we have the tail, okay, it might be tempting to also already animate the tail, during the blocking. Well, it's so from one perspective, it's a little bit counterproductive because it takes so much time to actually animate properly the tail. All right, like if you want to, I'm not even talking about this overlap, like a Disney overlap, but I'm actually talking about like a proper animation, like which is correctly with with the reference, and especially if you have some interaction with the environment, it might be hard to animate the tail correctly. So so I would recommend to leave the tail at the end of your work, because the body, okay, the body mechanics will actually define how your tail gonna move, okay, because the tail is heavily dependent on the body mechanics, okay, that you're gonna create. So tail, make sure to polish it at the end of your work, because for example you might get a comment that, oh, this jump of the tiger, for example, have to happen earlier, right, or later. So then you have to adjust all those things that you already animated, all right? So it's counter productive for you. And the man days in your studio, you have like literally some budget for each shot, so you are like a burning budget a little bit. So yeah, you might have this then excuse that, well, but director said this, right? So I had to redo this. Yes, but if it happens all the time, right? Then the producer will take a look at your let's say stuff from the perspective, from after several months, and they will compare it with someone else. So even some shit happens, then they will kind of judge your performance like mostly based on the spreadsheet, okay, and how fast you delivered the work and how many man days you if you met the goals, and that's what really matters for them. All right, not the problems or like situations that you encounter during the production. um, so I said this by okay, so this is the case whenever you have like some problem, make sure that to kind of improve your workflow every time, okay, so you want, because after several months people kind of forget about these problems and they solely look at the spreadsheet, okay, and compare your performance with others. That being said, um, let's go back to the tail, because from one perspective you can animate that kind of things at the end, which I highly recommend to do that. And I actually I'm doing this also. In my opinion, this is the best workflow. But sometimes other animators are like quickly blocking the tail, just blocking, quickly like add some few poses, just to sell your shot better. All right, so your shot will be more like a more understandable for other team members, for the director, for the lead animator, and for the client, for example, right? So yeah, you sometimes have to do that kind of things. But for example, if when we worked in Axis, we had this like a workflow separated for each stage. So that was cool. That clients actually understand it, the stage that we are currently in, so they didn't expect anything else. So for example, that kind of stuff like details, they couldn't expect that in the blocking stage. All right, so we've talked about the post, like legs or tail already, and let's talk about the controls. Okay, so in general, if you want to animate the creature, the biggest problem you will encounter is the lack of probably at the beginning, lack of weight, okay, in your shot. So how to do that is definitely by adjusting, by adding that kind of things that we just talked about. So shoulders, right, chest, correct chest animation. What else? This paw, okay, paw squeezing. That's gonna add some extra, several percent for your of the weight in your shot. But for sure, these kind of like proper movement of the shoulder blades, that's gonna sell the majority of the weight. But of course, correct up and down movement is crucial. This is the most important. And on top of that, the secondary movement. All right, not sure if you've seen some of my reel, like about you don't remember anyway. So secondary movement is the way to also add to show the weight for our characters. Okay, so whenever the character is moving, make sure that to add some kind of secondary action for our rig, to our character. So in this case, I was super passionate about this because this character has it. Okay, it has some additional controls for that kind of stuff. So if if we animate the character solely like this with the main controls, okay, it's fine. But the moment we're gonna add that kind of controls, like with this flash, or like this here with this fat moving around, and with those rotate, if we're gonna rotate them also, it's gonna add so much more to our animation. All right, so make sure to add that kind of secondary movement to your shot. Okay, or even during the, like, if you're gonna choose what to animate, okay, or like which rig to choose from, make sure to actually go for that kind of rigs, because it's gonna actually like super help you with your portfolio. I think you've seen it, like probably sometimes in other creators' stories, when the dinosaurs are moving around, right? Then you can feel this flashiness, right? So this is coming from animating that kind of things. Okay? So the question was how we animate that, and it's literally usually by hand, but with the additional layer. So you are, for example, creating one animation like this. So like this. Then you are creating another key. Oh, fuck. Something broke the rig. Oh, come on. Yeah, it happens sometimes for this one. But basically make sure that to animate it, in super easy way, like this. Oh, it happened again. All right, so maybe you can change it to the ASCII, right? Or I'm opening the rig, so you can probably, if you restart the reference, it might fix the problem. Maybe this is not helping. But anyway, what I usually do is animate this with anim layer, okay, on a separate layer. So for example, I won't animate it, don't worry. But I'm setting up some keys. Okay, then I with graph editor, I make sure that this is like, it makes sense. So there are some up and down, right? And then there is like a smaller values. And yeah, and I'm also animating weight, okay, with this one. And then you can actually, what you can do is copy this animation to the rest of the, like controllers. Sometimes you have to adjust because they're in different, like, in different axes. So it won't probably work the same for everything. But yeah, you can just copy paste everything. You can offset. This is really important to make sure that this controller moves, for example, earlier than this one, because this one I feel like it's a little bit further, than to the chest, because chest will be translating the movement. So further it gets from the chest, from the source of the movement, or from the head. Whenever there's a connection, then the longer it takes to transfer this reaction, right? So make sure to analyze that kind of things and to avoid moving them together simultaneously. All right. So this is just a quick note that you can apply, uh, and just adding 1 or 2 frames, it will be enough. All right. It will be like super cool. And yeah, you just then copy this exact same animation in the moments when you need it. Okay, so whenever there is like some big action, or there's a jump or something like that, you just copy this animation and just play around with the weight. So whenever there is a big action, you can leave it on the 1%, 100%, and when there is a smaller, more gentle action, you can just decrease it. Okay, so just that's it. I would recommend it for that kind of characters. If you have more complex characters, you might just simulate it. But to be honest, usually how does it work is animators do the majority of the works, like literally animating this, like I just mentioned, and then on top of that, simulation department will do the work by itself. Okay, so it's not simulation department, but character FX department. Okay, CFX. Yeah, so they will probably animate things like this. Okay, it will be probably simulated a little bit on top of your animation, and things like this. For example, you can animate it, right? But it also could be simulated. This rig, keep in mind, it's pretty low poly, so you won't encounter this some issues with that kind of stuff. Okay, this is like a low poly. Well, the thing that I'm just talking about is about for high quality, like really heavy rigs. All right, when you probably even won't animate it, because it will be mostly for the cache, for the renders. We have like the separate version for for rendering, for the simulation, and for the animation. Okay, so right. Okay, so then I want to just show you some of my works, okay, and talk about how I approached them. Maybe I can give you some cool notes. But before doing so, I will just also show you. I would like to show you. Not sure if we have new people here, but if you feel like you want to become an animator, and that you're treating this career path seriously, what you can do is sign up or like check our course after the lecture. Okay, I will leave the link under this here on the chat and under the video. And yeah, during here in our program, you can get the classes. Okay, you can get to the library, you can get many materials like the character rigs that we are just working with right now. And yeah, we can work together on your portfolio and just make sure that we are working towards your goal. For example, you want to work in movies or in gaming industry, then together with me, I will prepare you a plan. Okay, how to get it. Okay, what kind of assignments you need to perform, and basically together we will work on them. So it's right now it costs like $50, $49 per month. It's usually when it's like subscription based. So if you want to get started right now, right from today, then we are getting started, and you can cancel anytime. Okay, so Yeah, but animation journey is a little bit like a longer term, so it takes some time. It's probably not like a 1 month, investment, but probably like you have to think about this for a little bit longer. Um, so let's talk about run cycle, or here. Okay, let's talk about sitting animation. Okay, so this is one of my animations. Yeah, and I was a little bit. Oh, okay. So I think I was for this shot. I was probably using two animate, like two references. Where is it? Where is it? It's closed. Come on. Oh, yeah. It did disappear. Gosh, Maya, why you are so laggy? Let's open it. Okay, again. Okay, I'm opening. So let's talk about. Oh no, it's fine. So I took some reference. I download some reference from the internet, but for the dog, doing this action with his tongue right here. Okay, just to get the correct timing and the action. Okay, of for the facial animation, but as far as I remember, I was using the different kind of reference for the body mechanics. So you can literally match several references together in order to achieve your performance. The idea that you need to like this mindset shift that you need to have in your mind right now is many students animate like that. Like they saw some action on the internet, all right, and then they trying to replicate this to the shot, their shot, and it doesn't work like that in the studio. Okay, what you need to do in the studio is literally you have animation that works for in layout. Okay, it's simplified animation block out, and you have to animate it, you have to polish it, and then you have established timing, action already from the director, from by the like a layout director and stuff like that, and then you're trying to match your animation to this simplified shot, right? So it's different. You are not animating what you kind of find appealing on the internet. You are using this for you to help you understand how you gonna you know animate this shot. So that's the main difference, and it's actually it's pretty like hard sometimes because you have to replicate the shot frame by frame, and then at the same time you're trying to match what's is happening with this like previous animation, okay, with the simplified object, with the simplified animation. So you have to kind of match two things together. So what I would recommend to all of you, instead of like trying to be fixated on replicating, okay, animation, like a recording from the zoo or stuff like that, or from the National Geographic, I would like you to think about what you want to animate. Okay, some cool action, make some maybe a few drawings. Okay, what's the performance, and then go to the internet and find several videos that's gonna match your vision. Okay, that's gonna help you create this particular action that you had in mind. Okay, not in reverse, because then you are actually start working as a filmmaker rather than just trying to replicate stuff from the internet, and that's gonna make you stand out much more, because what people do I assure you, like I saw plenty of times the same tiger animation on the internet, because I've seen it like maybe 20 times from different people. Okay, like some on the YouTube, they try to also already replicate the same standing up, the same sitting of the tiger, so or the same jump. So if you watch for a while, you kind of start noticing that kind of thing. So what I would suggest you to do is this. It's a little bit different approach, and your animation will be different because you won't be just sticking with one video. Okay, we'll be playing around with different videos all the time. All right, so that being said, let's continue. Let's go here, and right now if you play this animation, I won't animate anything because I'm afraid that it's gonna explode, but you can see how cooler it looks with these kind of jiggles here. Okay, so again, if you have animation, if you have the character, check out if it has some kind of additional controllers for secondary action. Okay, it's gonna help you. Let's go to other stuff here. Running. All right, and running, as you can see, it's complex action, because especially here, because you have this these kind of both feet, both legs are almost intersecting with each other, so it's hard to manage that kind of stuff. But I think I've done a pretty good job here. I don't still not sure about this this position. Maybe I will still play around with this one. But here, as you can see, I'm trying to always trying to make this foot, this leg in the same axis. Okay, once to each other. And what you can take a look at, can focus on. Let's take a look on the head. Okay, so the head right now is, the body moves a lot, and the head is actually trying, it's staying a little bit at the same point, not fully, like not ideally, but still. And I have everything separated on the layers. So for example, let's check out this, because I remember I've done something here. I did something here. So yes, so that was the movement forward of the you see, it's different than. So for example here, this movement, I decreased the amount of movement of the head, because right before it was moving really back and forward. Okay, and with this layer I just decreased the values. So what I want you to remember, once you animated like your base animation, you can literally go after a few days, you can leave your work, and after a few days you start noticing some mistakes, some like some other stuff. So this is, in my case, that what happened. I started noticing, for example, some head movements, and I added the layer where I animated this one element, and I even used not 100% of the. See, like how much different that would be. In this case, head would be like behaving like in. Yeah, it's totally following the body, right? It's stiff. It's totally following the body, and if I turn it off, it stays like in one point, in one axis, but it moves, back and forth. So I wanted to have something in between, because right now it moves too much like a lizard, and here it moves like a bear or something, like it's too stiff here. So we don't have any movement. So because I literally counter animated it, as far as I remember. Let's take a look. Yes, you see, like I counter animate everything. So So I decided to make something in between, and we have pretty cool results. So this is exactly what you can do in your case, right? And other things, for example, vibrations. I did that also on the separate layer, and I didn't use 100% values. Also, I used 60% of animation, right? So let's check this out, and you can see that this is moving. What else? If we're gonna turn it off, all right, much more boring, right? There is nothing is moving here. But then if it moves forward here, this thought here, it's moving, squeezing, right? And then it's also going backward, but with delay. So first the chest is moving backward, and then the thought. All right. So also I did some like correction, for example, on the here on the chest, but I think it's I think this one is actually not necessarily. It shouldn't be here, I think. But yeah, I have different kind of layers. For example, I've used weight layer, where I think I've added some up and down to this character. So yeah, it's not moving too much, but with this weight layer, I think it moves more up and down. All right. So also, I think I added something like I pushed the animation a little bit with separate layer. So you can see it's like a layered approach. After even you animated the base, you can literally add some layers and just build on top of that, and you can find what is missing. You can focus on one part of the body and think how we can improve it. Okay, and then you can add this separate layer for this, and then the next thing, right, with the spine, how we can make it better, then make a layer, and so on and so forth. All right. Right, guys, do you have some questions? Right now it's the perfect moment, because then I will go to sleep. Come on, no questions? If there's no questions, what's time to sign up, guys. If you like this tutorial, if you like this lecture, then make sure to sign up. Okay. Because yeah, this is like the perfect time to start. All right. If you sign up, we can make a deal, like a 10%, or like no $10. Okay, $10 per month. Let's make it. Let's make a deal. If you've been here, okay, on the chat today, I will check it later. Then everyone, you have like a $10, all right, per month of the discount. So yeah, we can work together on your portfolio, and we can make sure that you are getting to the studio. Yeah, Alberto. I feel you. I'm glad you like it, guys. If you're going to have some questions, don't hesitate to ask me. Again, I will send you. Yeah, you have the link here. I will send the link to the animation incubator under the video. So if you would like to become an animator, you can join there. When you animate a creature, okay, Orlando, you have a question. When you animate a creature, is it good to animate it using the blocking plus the polish and there's regular animation? It always depends, right? Because I don't really like to focus, like to force people to one technique. Everyone kind of finds out what's the best approach for them later on in life, right? Because it also depends from the creature. What I like to do is first try to establish the poses, right, the blocking, mm, how to, then let's say um, blocking, right? Then more poses, right? And then mm, if it comes to the polishing and splining, what I what I found interesting is hide the certain part of the body, okay, of the creature. Um, so, for example, head, tail, and everything that kind of steals the my attention, okay, and just focus on that kind of like separated stuff. So, for example, on the chest and the hips. All right. In this way, I can, for example, focus on the weight. Okay. If I establish that, then I can, for example, animate the head. But the really like it depends from the creature because like more complex characters, uh, yeah, you definitely will have to do that. And this is, yeah, that's what I like, for example, to work on the hips and the chests, separately, to have everything turned off, all right, and then trying to focus on these weight shifts and to set the weight, and then once it's done, I will just move on to other stuff, all right. So yeah, hopefully I answered your question. How to synchronize the run cycle with the terrain? Marco asked. All right, so Marco, there are tools for that. You can either work manually, like brute force, right, and then you can have a like a run cycle. You can place the spline. You can create a spline, right, and upload it to the terrain, because there is actually like a tool, I think, option in Maya where you can actually press the spline, put the spline to the mesh, right, to the certain mesh. I think I've done it some time ago, but it's actually tricky. It's a tricky combination. If you don't use the plugin for that, then it might be like a really like you know uh, tedious process, I would say. So yeah, but the big like the start, even without the plugins, you have to animate and be able to animate it without anything, okay, without any additional plugin, because in some studio you don't have it, right? So you can't say to them, oh, I don't, I can't animate it without this particular plugin, and you have to pay for that, because most of the time, if you are working for some studio, they have already some setup of Maya. They have tools there, and sometimes they're these tools are working, sometimes they're not. Sometimes you are using a remote PC, and you have to work with what you have, and sometimes people don't have time to wait 2 days until the tech artist or will solve the problem with the shelf in Maya. So you have to work with manual approach sometimes. I would say not even sometimes, pretty often, from my experience. So yeah, we are creating the spline. Okay, we are applying this spline to the terrain. Okay, it will be like perfectly matching the terrain, and then we are basically animating yeah, we are like animating the character moving forward, and then we are trying to match the footsteps to the terrain. That's what I would do manually. But of course, there are like as I mentioned, there are plugins when you can just do it with simple spline, which will be perfectly aligned with the terrain as well, and then it will automatically align the footsteps to the ground. So that will be perfect. All right. Awesome streaming. Thank you a lot. This is really nice, Catherine. Thank you. So, Marco, again, hopefully I answered your question. Uh, Next one, Dave. Just wanted to say this was very helpful today. Many thanks. Right. Thank you too. I'm glad you all of you came here, all right, to listen to my bullshit. And Orlando, sorry. Uh, cool, thanks. Yeah, so thank you also. All right, so if you have some questions again, don't hesitate and check out the course if you want to practice more. And yeah, see you in the next week probably in some other topic. If you have me on IG, I will ask you what kind of topic would you like me to talk about next time. All right. So just before finishing, I will just grab a quick story. Right. See ya. Bye.